Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's George again. I thought since we was getting some awful good rain today and stuff, and there's not a lot I can do outside, that I'd do another legend of the Appalachian Mountains or mysteries of the Appalachian Mountains. And the first one that comes to mind is Cabal Tunnel. And the legend is there was a man, his last name was Cabal, that a younger man went into his house to rob him. And the man come home or was home, and that his younger daughter was there. And the man that went to rob him used the daughter as a shield to get away after robbing the house. And he run off with her, and the old man was tracking him, trying to catch up to him and save his daughter. And they went into a tunnel covered with, well, it wasn't covered, but it had water in it. And they said that the little girl's body was recovered from the water and that she had perished. And they say if you go up there like at night, you can hear that little girl hollering from that tunnel, and that you can hear a fight going on in that tunnel, like the Cabal man had caught up to that man. But while he was scrimmaging with that guy, the little girl died. Now that's what I've heard of the story. I'm not 100% sure that's true, but that's what was said. But I do know these people went up there and said that they could hear somebody, back in that tunnel screaming for help, and it sounded like a little young girl. Another one is the Dead Man's Curve. And the story behind that one is there was a young man had just got his driver's license and got his first car. And he went to pick up his girlfriend, and her father did not approve of him. Well, she snuck out of the house, and the father seen him. And the father runs out of the house, and they say, the way they said is he peppered the tailgate. So I'm thinking he may have, shot at the truck or whatever. But said the boy, being inexperienced and just a new driver and, new vehicle and stuff that he wasn't used to, took down the road afraid that old man was coming after him. He got down there on the curve and slid out of the road, killing the little girl that he had picked up, his girlfriend. And he did survive the wreck. And they say that it was cold and like rainy and foggy when that wreck happened. And they say if you go to that curve and go around it, that you'll see that little girl standing in the fog right there on the side of the road. So there's other people that's wrecked, swerving because she was there. And, they said that several people have seen her. And they said that, they call that Dead Man's Curve, but it's actually a little girl that's standing there on the edge of the road. I remember being told about a wampus cat. And the legend on a wampus cat is the Cherokee Indians, was around this area here in Southwest Virginia and down into North Carolina and stuff. And women that disgraced themselves or like, their husbands for some reason throwed them out of the tribe, that they was, kicked out of the tribe and sent on their own to do what they need to do, that they would get so angry that a spirit would possess them of a wampus cat. And it's supposed to have been like a 5 or 6 foot cat. And that it would go into the tribal areas and stuff and steal children and take them off. And when settlers moved into the area, that they experienced the same thing, that little children would just up and disappear. You'd find an article of clothing and stuff. And I remember when I was little, my dad was telling us about a child that was at my grandmother's. And I reckon there was several kids playing in the yard where they got to missing this one little boy. And they got to hunting him. And they said they found a shoe on the trail going down the mountain back towards, off the ridge, because we lived up on top of the mountain, the very top of the mountain back then. Well, they did. We didn't. They did. And they said that when they got down to the railroad track, they found another shoe. And said that they followed it down the railroad track. They split up, went each way, trying to figure out which way it went. And it was said about 2.5 miles down that railroad track, they seen some grass and stuff had been tore up and moved up the hill. When they went up there and looked over the hill, there was like a hole there, a den or whatever, and that child's body had been put in there, and like straw and stuff put up on it. And that for a while they said it was a panther, and then they ruled out it wasn't a panther because, there ain't no panthers in Southwest Virginia. We know they are. They said it could have been a mountain lion, but they also said it could have been a wampus cat. That the kids making all that noise and having fun and stuff is what attracts them. And that, they will take a child as a punishment to the tribes or the people they come in contact with. Like I said, I don't know, if that was true, but that's just what was told. I know the little boy got missing, and they found him in a den area, but I don't know what took him down there. But that's what everybody was legend was that, it had to be a panther or a mountain lion or a wampus cat being as big as it was. And I guess y'all have heard the legends of the Mothman. The Mothman is like a man with wings. He was skinny and tall, stature, had wings, and they said that he flew all over this town close to us and just terrorized the people. And that there was, thousands of sightings of him. The whole town says that he is true and he is real. And there was something about a bridge collapsed. He was sitting on it, and a bridge collapsed and fell into the water and killed a bunch of people. And it was like he was an omen to tell them that, this was going to happen. But, they said that he was tall with like a shadow thing that you'd see him flying over and stuff. And that he was sitting up on that pier that, where the bridge used to have the arch. It was sitting up on one of the arches, and that was a section that fell in and took several people's lives, stuff. And now there's still people says that he was very real and he's still around, that people still see him when, like a great catastrophe is going to happen, or, some kind of structure in the Appalachians will, fall or something. They say that people will say they seen something fly over it, they didn't know what it was, and they just automatically think it was the Mothman. There was a witch, the Bell Witch in Bell County, I think it was Kentucky, and they said that, when she was young, she was bullied and, just tormented. And when she became a witch, that she went on rampages because, people couldn't do nothing with her because she had her witchcraft. And then she would steal children. And now there's part of the legend says that she had them in a cave. Some people say that she had them under her house, that she'd killed them and put them under her house and stuff. That, for years, people were scared to death to let their children outside, especially at night or right at dusk, because of that Bell Witch. And we had Skinwalkers, which I told that in the other one, but they had the ability to, change from an animal to a person. And, they say that they're still around, that people have seen, like, your child will be sitting in your house you'll look outside and your kid's sitting out there, pecking on the door trying to get in, or your dog will be scratching at the door. You're going to let him in, your dog will come up to you. And, all these legends and stuff has to have some kind of, realness to them. I just don't think they made them up. But, they say if you get a skinwalker around your house, that you have to shut all your windows and doors and lock them, draw all your curtains shut so, they can't see. And if you'll notice in the Appalachians, most people keep their curtains shut because they believe that at night, especially, well, one reason is, peeping toms and stuff like that, I guess. But most of it is they don't want spirits and stuff that's around their house or whatever to come in or to be watching and getting attracted to them and cause them problems. There's a lot of old legends like that in the Appalachian Mountains, and we had it's supposed to have been a wolf man type critter, and they called him Nanat, and he would chase you out of the mountains. And there's a story that a man from where I was raised up went to I believe, best I remember, he was picking up walnuts under a walnut tree. And they said that something jumped out of the tree on him. And it had bit him in the back of the neck. And they said that he had claw marks from right here plumb up over his shoulder, and said it had cut him from his back plumb into his straddle. And when they found him, he was laying on the ground, and said that, his intestines was laying out of him. And they said that he had no dog or some kind of hound or something had jumped on whatever attacked him, and it had killed it. And they said that, it had bit him right in the back of the neck, and his mouth was big enough to cover a man's neck. That's a pretty good sized mouth. And they always said they thought that was some kind of cat. It could have been a, mountain lion. It could have been a panther. But I don't see a bobcat being big enough to gut a man like that. And they said that another man that was out there said he went hunting, and he had run into the wolf man, is what we'll call him, or Nanat, and said that it was, down on two legs, like crouched down, but it was leant forward drinking water. And he stood there, and I reckon it turned and seen him and took off after him. And they said he shot his gun empty, run into somebody's house, just about took the door off the hinges, begging them to shut the door and lock it, shut the door and lock it. And, they did, and he was telling them, what he'd seen and had run him and stuff. And there was an old tale of 7 witches. There was 7 witches who were supposed to have lived in a cave. And every time these witches made a potion or, something like that, they had to have certain ingredients. If it was a chicken's blood, a frog, or, whatever, bat, whatever it was. But every one of their potions would have to have a child in it. And they said that they had stole a bunch of children to be able to make those potions and stuff to curse the people around them. And that, they had been a lot of reports of small children missing around the 7 Witch Cave. And there was one about an old man named Tony. His last name was Tony. And I reckon he owned a lot of mountain land up on a mountain. And the legend is that he didn't get married till he was well into his 50s, about my age. And he married a 13 or 14-year-old girl, which was, back in not frowned upon. They did it all the time, but he married her, and he was so jealous of her he couldn't stand it. He just, it drove him crazy, and he was always afraid somebody was going to steal his wife. And at that time, where the road was, come by his house. Well, they said he went way up in this mountain and built a house way up in that mountain where nobody'd be around his, young bride. And they said that, he would sit in the woods up on hills and stuff and watch when he was supposed to be working to see if anybody come to his house around his bride. Well, I don't know what the exact details was, but I reckon somebody come up there to check on them because they hadn't seen them in years or something. And they come up there to see if they were okay, if they need anything. And he got in his mind that the man that would come up there was up there to steal his bride. Well, what I understood, she spoke to him on the porch, and then he left. And when old man Tony come home, he and she's both had two some kind of white dogs. Some people say Dobermans, but it may have been black Dobermans. But they said he killed her and her dogs and buried her here and a dog on each side of her up on the mountain where he would sit and watch her, so she would know that from now on that's what happened. But they said that later on when the police and stuff come up there, doing welfare checks and stuff, just see if he was all right. And that man had told him, there was some odd stuff going on up there. They found him hung in the barn, and his young bride was already buried up on the mountain. And they say if you go up there on that property he owned, and it's foggy or something, that all of a sudden a man just be up there on you before you know it, hunting when you're hunting, and said he'll tell you, you need to get off my land. You're not welcome here, and you better leave, because if you don't, I reckon these people said that he's kicked logs out from underneath them, like they'd be sitting on logs squirrel hunting, and said he'll kick them log and all right down the hill. And they said that there's been people up in there where the old home place was, and said you would see a woman and two dogs stand up there on the hill about where her grave is. And that was the legend of the Tony farm. There was several other legends. I'm trying to get some more of them coming to my mind. Let's see. Well, they was witches and warlocks, I reckon, really big back in the early 30s, 20s, and stuff like that. And the old men used to go up on the mountain, and they would pray up in the woods. And like you go on your property, the old man would walk up on the mountain. He'd do praying and stuff to drive the witches and stuff back by introducing the spirit of God that drove the witches and all back. But said that, it would drive them to somebody else's place also. And that, they had what they call prayer benches, that they would actually build a bench and take it up there, and that's where they would do their praying at. And, that bench was, a sign to the witches that they wasn't welcome, and that they couldn't be on that man's property. And they said that a lot of witches and stuff would take people's children because they didn't have the ability, to have babies. That when they took the art of witchcraft, it deformed their insides and stuff to curse them to never have a child. But now I also heard that if a witch caused the cow to give bloody milk, if his child run through your house and stole something, that, it would break the curse that, from you punishing them. So I don't know, but, there's all kinds of stories and legends about stuff like that. I remember there was one about some little kids that was in a orchard stealing apples out of an orchard. I was trying to think of the name of the orchard, but I can't get it come to mind. But, you know, kids was up there playing around, and the old man didn't like the kids being in his orchard because they did steal apples. And they said he set like booby traps or something, but he ended up killing 4 or 5 of the children, or maybe some of them fell out of trees or something. And they say if you go up there at that orchard, there's still trees there, and that you'll hear children laughing and playing and stuff like that. And they say, especially when it's not bad during the year, but like when the apples are ripe and it's ready to pick, you know, you'll hear those kids laughing and playing and running and stuff. And said you'll hear apples just randomly hit the ground, and you know the kids laughing and stuff. And they say after that happened, the old man, out of guilt, he was mad and he didn't really want them up there, but I don't think he intentionally meant to kill them. That he had committed suicide, and they say when the children are laughing, he's wailing. That you know he's crying, and you know just like they say, you know he just so you hear that sadness in the air, and that he had you know done it by accident. It wasn't a purpose thing, but the children are there, and you know he's supposed to be there. And I remember there was an old house way up on the mountain, and when you walked into it, they said that it was like somebody lived there. Shoes at the bed, covers still on the bed. Said their plates were sitting at the table, and it looked like some food dehydrated on the plates. But said like they just got up from eating and disappeared. And I reckon there was clothes in the closet, the beds were made, everything. They said the only thing that let you know nobody lived there was the dust. And they said that the man that lived there, I reckon had like killed his wife and kids over dinner, what was for dinner, and then he killed himself. And you know when they took their bodies out, nobody else went back to the house, and it still looks like it did when they had picked up the bodies. I reckon like none of the furniture was hardly disturbed or nothing. And they said that you can go up there and said you can hear that man screaming and those kids and woman screaming. You can hear him in a real angry voice, they said, but the other ones are like, you know, looking for mercy. I'm trying to think if I can think of any more. There's supposed to be somewhere uh, a a place where if it may not be here, I don't remember that one. I remember they was talking about a place where you could park your car, like put it in neutral, turn it off, and it would roll uphill. And said that a school bus one time stopped on the railroad tracks right there in that area, or it died. It just died on the railroad tracks there. And I reckon a train hit the school bus, killing the driver and all the children. And from what I understand, if you have car trouble in that area, like near that railroad track, whatever, their spirits or whatever, the kid's supposed to push your car over the railroad tracks and up the hill to safety. That's all I can think of right now. As I come up with some, I'll write them. I keep writing them down so I can remember. That's what I was doing here. I had them wrote down to the ones I had thought of that people talked about. Uh, like I know a lot of ways to do curses and stuff, and I might do a video on that, but I won't tell you how to make them. You know that there's herbs and spices and different things like that you have to put into the things to cause curses, or, you know, you can do it in liquid form and pour it into somebody's water, and I reckon it'll make their water go dry. There's, you know, old legends about stuff like that too that I may do a video on later. But today, that's the only ones I could think of. Yeah. So I'll let you go. If you enjoy these legends, let me know, and I'll continue coming up with them, and, you know, seeing if I can, you know, I listen to old people and ask them, you know, about old legends and stuff. Is how I'm coming up with this stuff. But as I get them, if y'all really want me to, I'll keep posting them, and that way, you know, you can come on and watch them. But if you haven't, please like and subscribe, and you know, let me know. Say, hey man, we enjoy that. Keep it up, something to where I know that that's something y'all would want to do. Where it's been so hot, and, you know, just my garden's not doing. It's coming out, man. I'm telling you, my garden blows my mind. The corn was drawed up like switches, and now today it's all laid out beautiful. It looks like it's grown 4 or 5 inches, you know. And I've got about 12 or 13 rows, about 50-foot long, sweet corn down there. And it, you know, if the good Lord's willing and the creek don't rise, and, you know, this rain keeps up, I might be able to get some sweet corn out of that. I noticed that my beans had turned a little yellow at the bottom, and I thought, oh, they're burning up. But now today, man, they're greened up and prettied up. My peppers and stuff, it was just laid down and wilted. I mean, you'd think them ain't gonna live. You know, now they're perked back up and stuff like that. And they're talking about, like, you know, off and on rain for about a week. And that would really help me out a lot. That'd get my corn on through, and I could probably get some more beans and peppers and stuff. I noticed that my sweet potato vines had sat there, you know, about that long for a month. And I'm hoping it was making roots. But I know today it looked like, you know, they've jumped 2 or 3 feet long. So maybe the sweet potatoes will do something. You know, just keep praying for rain. I'll let you go. Sorry I got on a tangent about the garden, but I'm really thankful for this rain. So thankful. But y'all have a good day. Have a blessed day. Be good to each other. And we'll see you on the next video.